All right, I'm here with Wade at TapeOp 2007. He's going to give us a little run through of his latest baby, the Germanium Compressor.
That's a nice background noise we got going on.
Yeah, right? It's lovely.
Anyway, we're just getting ready to ship the Germanium Compressor here. It's about 2 months off, and we're just going to run down some of the features. It uses the same line amp, for those that are familiar with the Germanium stuff, as the preamp and the tone control. So you have the variations in coloration and feedback that you get from adjusting the controls, variations in harmonic distortion and high and low, frequency changes as well. So you get that on the Germanium Compressor, and then really we tried to kind of continue the thing with the Germanium, where they tend to be hopefully flexible and hopefully variable in their sound. And so as a starting point with that, we used the Germanium amplifier, and first thing we came in and did is we made a wet-dry mix control. So it's essentially like doing a submix on a console, except you can do it right in the box. So you have all the way wet and then all the way dry, and you can just fade between the two. So I've got the compressor set really crunchy here, so you can kind of hear what it's going to sound like when we get into that wet-dry control. Here we go. Turn up a little bit. So again, pretty smacky. We'll go into about 40% dry. Here, get a little louder, but like the vibrancy of the drum is still maintained, but you get that kind of tight sounding compression effect underneath. So here's bypass, a little loose sounding, and then in the wet dry it just tightens right up. And you just get that cool sub bus thing that, that's why everyone does it. So again, you can go in and vary it so you can get just a little bit dry. Again, pretty big difference there, or you can go really dry. Sorry, it changes the level as you do that a little bit, but or back to the original smash setting. So this is a FET compressor, the gain reduction element, not unlike an 1176 or ADR compacts or distressors are FET. But we wanted to give it as much kind of otherworldly things. We didn't want it to sound like an 1176 and etc. So the mix was definitely a starting point on that. The other thing is it has a variable knee, but instead of just doing it with a resistance control, like just sticking in a pot and changing how hard it kind of grabs on, you can actually go in and change diode strings in the circuit. And to take that even further, we took all the different types of diodes and put them across a switch. So you have 2 sets of germanium types, 2 sets of silicon, which are the most standard of diodes, and then a really hard crunching Zener diode setting. And you can also go in all the way to the left side and pick just the resistance setting, the more standard version. And what it does is the diodes really have a characteristic. For those people that are familiar with like 33609s or the EMI limiters, those are diode limiters and have a really distinct sound to them. So as you're selecting the different diode curves, they're imparting their sound and their how they're grabbing, the compressor's grabbing as you change it. So I'll just give you a quick thing. You'll see this one will get it's really gentle on the resistance side, and as you get over to the Zener side, it really starts to kick down hard. So just kind of grabbing on real gently there. I'll go to the second germanium. It's grabbing a little harder. Second silicon. And then the second Zener grabbing really hard. So now I tend to think of the harder settings as more useful in the mixed dry state. Whereas over here I'll generally keep those all the way wet. And the germanium soft setting is probably my favorite curve because it still has a really nice coloration and has a distinctive kind of grab because of the germanium diodes in it. But it also is not really overdone, so you can compress drums really tightly, fatten them up, but it doesn't suck the life out of them. You know, you get kind of a distinctive character from that curve, but it leaves the drum hopefully intact
Nice.
without messing it up. So you can still go to after you select the curve, you can still go into the ratio control and tweak it further from there. So you say, okay, I'm on germ soft. I want a gentle ratio there, or I want the germ soft curve to really destroy. So you can fine tune this curve idea even further with the ratio control. The next thing is there's a sidechain filter, a pass filter in the sidechain, so you can tell the compressor what frequencies it wants to see and which ones it'll compress. It's very effective on drums for really fine tuning them, bass, guitar, and mixes. Definitely on mixes, it lets you have a better control over your overall mix. I'll just show you that really quick. Again, I'll set it really hard so you can kind of hear the difference, obviously. A little loud there, sorry. So you can hear how the kick drum's not really being compressed, and it's grabbing the snare really hard. You go back to the original, just grabbing onto everything, and you just roll it in gently. Whoops, sorry about that. My levels are a little funky. So that's kind of what that part is. The next thing is you have your input threshold, so you can actually drive the unit harder. It's kind of 1176 style where you actually just turn it up and it kicks down more. And then the other flavor kind of choice we have is the clean and dirty comp. And since it's a FET compressor, FET compressors have a lot of distortion inherently, and especially at certain parts, certain amounts of compression, there's more distortion than others. So pretty much most compressors that use FETs that you've used have compensation to take out the distortion. What we did is we left all the good stuff in completely and just took out the bad. So there's a large amount of second and third harmonic distortion. It ranges from 2 to 5% in the dirty setting, and it ranges from about 0.2 to 0.5% in the clean setting. That's actually one of my favorite things of the unit. I just leave it in dirty all the time because it gives things a real impact. And like the edge of the drums, you can really hear that smack and the tightness of it. So it's it'd probably be impossible to hear on a camera, so maybe I'll just skip that part. But one last sound sample and then call it a day. So there's a crush. Then we'll bring in a little mix here. And I do have a little bit of germanium tone control on there as well. So I'll just pop that out real quick so you can hear the difference there. So nice and tight and punchy with some color, but as much variety as we could pack into a single unit. So
it's extremely tight.
Yeah.
Good job.
That's definitely was a major point for it. So wanted it to be able to be on drums and not suck the life out of them. Just make them tight, still impart that kind of germanium color to it. The wet-dry mix really lets it kind of breathe a little bit. So anyway, enjoy. I hope somebody buys it.